The Galactic Empire had long ruled the stars, stretching its reach across entire systems, subjugating worlds under its iron fist. For millennia, it had enslaved countless species, draining their resources and labor to fuel its ever-expanding domination. The Empire thrived on a single belief, that it was invincible. And so, when its scouts first encountered Earth, a seemingly insignificant planet in a remote arm of the galaxy, its leaders expected humanity to fall in line, just as all the others had. High above the planet's atmosphere, the Imperial envoy watched the swirling blue and green orb through the observation deck of his cruiser. Commodore Zornath, a seasoned diplomat of the Empire, had delivered the same ultimatum dozens of times before. His reptilian eyes narrowed with predatory disdain as he reviewed the mission brief once more. Submit or be destroyed. The message was simple, the terms non-negotiable. On Earth, however, things were anything but simple. The broadcast of the Empire's demands had stunned the world's governments, but shock quickly turned to outrage. Humanity, divided as it was by borders and politics, was never one to accept threats lightly. A council of the world's most powerful nations convened, led by General Andrew Trent, a hardened veteran with sharp eyes and a steel will to match. Trent sat at the head of a long table, surrounded by military officials and heads of state, all tense, their faces illuminated by the holographic projection of the Empire's demands. His gravelly voice cut through the murmurs in the room. "Let me make one thing clear," he said. "We are not negotiating. We will not bow to these tyrants." A murmur of agreement swept the room, but there were still those who hesitated. One of the politicians, a diplomat from a neutral nation, voiced his concern. "We don't even know the full extent of their power. If their reach is as vast as they claim, how do we stand a chance?" General Trent's gaze was unflinching. "We stand because we must. We've faced threats before, plagues, wars, even the brink of extinction. We didn't fold then, and we won't now. This is our planet, our people, and we will not kneel to anyone." The room fell silent. Trent's words settled over them like a cloak of defiance, sparking the unity they so desperately needed. The decision was unanimous. Humanity would fight. Word of Earth's refusal spread swiftly. From the high command of military bases to the civilian population, the message was the same. Humanity would not yield to the Empire. Factories once dedicated to peaceful industry were repurposed for war. Defense grids, long dormant, sparked to life as nations pooled their resources, forging an unprecedented global alliance. Soldiers readied themselves, and scientists worked tirelessly to upgrade Earth's technological defenses. For the first time in history, humanity stood as one. Back aboard his ship, Commodore Zornath received Earth's response. The envoy's smirk faded as he read the single line transmitted to his vessel. "We will not kneel." It was unthinkable. No species had ever outright refused the Empire's demands. Even the most stubborn races had at least attempted diplomacy before realizing the futility of resistance. Zornath's talons tapped against the steel railing of his observation deck, his cold eyes narrowing. "Prepare the fleet," he hissed. "Show them the consequences of defiance." Within hours, the first wave of Imperial warships descended upon Earth's orbit, their sleek, black hulls casting ominous shadows across the surface below. The Empire believed it would be a swift and decisive strike, a reminder that their power was unmatched. But humanity had prepared. As the Empire's fleet moved into position, Earth's military forces unleashed a counterattack with a ferocity the invaders had not anticipated. Orbital defense platforms roared to life, firing volleys of energy beams that tore through the Empire's shields. Swarms of fighter jets, retrofitted with cutting-edge technology, danced between the Empire's lumbering ships, striking vulnerable weak points with surgical precision. The humans fought not just with strength, but with creativity. The Empire, used to brute force and overwhelming might, struggled against Earth's decentralized tactics and unconventional strategies. Communications within the Imperial fleet faltered as cyber attacks from human hackers disrupted their systems. Sabotage, ambushes, and guerrilla tactics crippled the Empire's advantage, and soon the skies over Earth were littered with the wreckage of fallen starships. Commodore Zornath, watching from his command ship, could scarcely believe his eyes. The battle was not going as planned. In fact, it was slipping out of control. The humans, with their audacity and ingenuity, were turning the tide. Before he could issue new orders, a blast rocked his cruiser, sending him sprawling to the floor. Alarms blared, and the lights flickered as his ship's systems began to fail. Staggering to his feet, Zornath barked a command to retreat. The Empire's forces pulled back, limping away from Earth's orbit in disgrace. Down on the surface, General Trent stood in the command bunker, watching the enemy's retreat on a holoscreen. His jaw clenched, his voice steady as he spoke to his team. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The Empire made a mistake. They came here thinking we'd fall like the others. But they don't know what humanity is capable of. We'll show them." Humanity's victory over the Empire's first assault had sent shockwaves across the galaxy. For centuries, entire species had believed the Empire to be untouchable. But Earth's defiance changed everything. The galaxy stirred as whispers of rebellion began to circulate, carried by covert channels, pirate broadcasts, and hidden networks of resistance fighters. On Earth, the taste of victory wasn't enough. Humanity knew that to survive, they had to take the fight beyond their own world. In a hidden underground base beneath the Andes Mountains, General Andrew Trent gathered with his closest advisors, the weight of the galaxy on their shoulders. He stood before a holographic map of the stars, highlighting key Imperial-controlled systems. Around him sat a mix of military commanders, strategists, and a few unlikely allies, alien diplomats who had secretly arrived on Earth after hearing of their victory. Among them was Raltek, a tall, slender being from the enslaved race, known as the Veraktans. With his pale, almost translucent skin and elongated limbs, he cut an ethereal figure in the dimly lit room. His voice, though soft, carried the weight of experience. "My people have suffered under the Empire's boot for generations," he began, his dark eyes fixed on the map. "We believed there was no hope. Your victory has given us that hope. But you must understand, liberating us will not be easy." Trent nodded, his expression hard. "Nothing worth doing ever is." Raltek continued, "If you can show us how to fight, we will stand with you. But many of my people are scattered across labor camps on distant planets. They need a reason to believe they can win." "We'll give them that reason," Trent replied, turning to his team. "Our next step is clear. We need to free an enslaved world. Something visible, something that will ignite the galaxy." The room buzzed with agreement. The target, Vraktan Prime, the homeworld of Raltek's people. It was heavily fortified, serving as a critical hub for the Empire's resource extraction. But it was also a symbol of their oppression. Liberating it would send a message. The Empire's reign was not inevitable. As the final plans were laid, Lieutenant Samantha Sam Greaves, one of Earth's top tacticians, stepped forward. Her sharp features and no-nonsense demeanor masked the fiery passion she carried into every battle. "We're going to need more than firepower to pull this off," she said. "We need strategy. Guerrilla tactics work for us on Earth, but this is their territory. We'll have to adapt." She gestured toward the map, highlighting the weak points they'd identified. "We'll strike fast and hard, disrupting their defenses and using their own technology against them. We'll cut off their supply lines, sabotage their communications, and hit their command center before they even know what's happening." Raltek's expression was one of cautious optimism. "If this works," he said, "the Veraktans will rise." "It will work," Sam replied confidently. "We've faced worse odds." The plan was set. Within days, a coalition of human forces and Vraktan rebels launched the attack on Vraktan Prime. The Empire, still reeling from their defeat at Earth, had not expected the humans to strike so soon or so far from their homeworld. Using modified human ships capable of evading Imperial scanners, The coalition slipped past enemy patrols and entered orbit undetected. On the ground, the enslaved Veraktans lived under the constant shadow of imperial overseers. Labor camps stretched across the horizon, and the people had grown weary and broken. But as the first explosions erupted in the sky and imperial outposts began to fall, a ripple of hope spread through the camps. Raltek, leading a team of Varaktan insurgents, infiltrated the main command center with the help of Sam and her elite squad. They moved swiftly, disabling key systems and causing chaos within the imperial ranks. The once dominant overseers found themselves overwhelmed, scrambling to regain control as rebellion erupted around them. The battle was fierce and bloody. Human soldiers fought alongside Varaktan rebels, their forces united in their shared struggle for freedom. For every imperial troop that fell, more of the enslaved Veraktans took up arms, turning the tide. What began as a coordinated strike quickly grew into a full-scale uprising. At the heart of the fighting, General Trent led a ground assault, his determination unwavering. He had seen countless battles, but this one felt different, more significant. This wasn't just about defeating an enemy. It was about liberating an entire race. Every victory, every step forward, wasn't just for Earth, but for the galaxy. By the time the sun rose on Varaktan Prime, the Empire's forces had been driven back. The planet, once a symbol of oppression, was free. In the aftermath, as the Veraktans gathered to celebrate their victory, Raltek stood beside Trent and Sam, his voice filled with gratitude and resolve. "You have done what we believed was impossible," he said. "But this is only the beginning." Trent placed a hand on his shoulder. "We're just getting started. There are more worlds to free." As the news of Varaktan Prime's liberation spread across the stars, the seeds of rebellion took root in the hearts of other oppressed species. The Empire had thought humanity was just another race to enslave. Instead, they had sparked a revolution. The liberation of Varaktan Prime had set the galaxy aflame. Rebellion now spread like wildfire across countless systems, with humanity and their newfound allies leading the charge. Species once broken by the Empire's tyranny now stood tall, galvanized by the victories of Earth and the Veraktans. Yet, the fight was far from over. The Galactic Empire, though weakened, remained a formidable force, and its heart, the imperial capital of Arcanis Prime, stood as a symbol of their dominance. The coalition, a united force of human and alien species, had grown strong. But to end the war, they knew they had to strike at the very core of the Empire's power. In a war room aboard the Liberator, humanity's flagship cruiser, General Andrew Trent and Lieutenant Sam Greaves stood alongside Raltek and other leaders of the coalition, their faces lit by the holographic display of Arcanis Prime. "This is it," Trent said, his voice resolute. "The final strike. Arcanis Prime is where we break them once and for all." Raltek's normally calm demeanor was tinged with urgency. "Their defenses are immense. Every species they've enslaved has contributed to the fortification of that planet. The Empire will throw everything they have at us." Sam, ever the strategist, stepped forward. "And that's exactly what we're counting on. If we take Arcanis Prime, we decapitate the Empire. But we can't do it with brute force alone. We need precision." She gestured to the map, highlighting the key targets. "We've identified weak points in their planetary defense grid. Our ships will create a diversion while specialized strike teams infiltrate their command center and disable their central network." Trent nodded. "We hit them hard, and we hit them fast. This isn't just about victory. It's about showing the galaxy that the Empire's time is over." The Coalition's forces mobilized. Hundreds of ships, manned by humans, Veraktans, and dozens of other species, formed an armada that stretched across the stars. As the fleet prepared for the jump to Arcanis Prime, tension rippled through the ranks. For many, this was the culmination of a lifetime of fear and oppression. Now, they were fighting for freedom. Raltek, standing beside Trent on the bridge of the Liberator, spoke softly. "I never thought I would see this day. My people have suffered for so long. Whatever happens, we thank you." Trent turned to him, his voice steady. We fight for all of us now. This isn't just Earth's war anymore. It's the galaxy's. The Armada made the jump to Arcani's prime, emerging from hyperspace to find the Imperial capital bristling with defenses. Massive starships, space stations, and orbital cannons greeted them. The Empire had prepared for this, but they hadn't prepared for humanity's defiance. Sam barked orders as the Liberator led the charge, coordinating with strike teams already en route to the surface. Human and alien fighters swarmed the Empire's defenses, dodging through intense fire as they struck at key targets. Explosions rocked the void as ships from both sides erupted in flames, the battle growing fiercer by the second. On the surface, the strike teams, led by Sam herself, breached the planet's defense network. Moving through the labyrinthine halls of the Empire's command center, they encountered stiff resistance, but Sam's team was relentless. Using the same guerrilla tactics that had won the day on Earth and Vracton Prime, they outmaneuvered the Imperial guards, taking down security systems and pushing deeper into the heart of the Empire's control. Inside the command center's core, Sam and her team hacked into the Empire's central network, uploading a virus that disabled the planetary defense grid. Across the surface and in orbit, the Empire's guns went silent. In that moment of confusion, the Coalition fleet surged forward, breaking through the last of the Imperial defenses and storming the planet. General Trent, leading the ground assault alongside Raltek, personally led the charge toward the Imperial Palace. The battle was brutal, but the united forces of the Coalition were unstoppable. As they pressed forward, Imperial soldiers began to surrender en masse, the reality of their defeat dawning on them. The final push into the throne room was swift. Trent and his team breached the palace walls, confronting the Empire's highest-ranking officials. They stood defiant, even as their empire crumbled around them. "You think this changes anything?" the Imperial warden snarled, his eyes blazing with hatred. "The Empire is eternal." Trent stepped forward, his voice cold and certain. "No, it's finished. With one decisive blow, the Empire's reign ended." The warden fell, and the Coalition forces flooded the streets, greeted by the cheers of freed citizens. The Imperial banners were torn down, replaced by the flags of the liberated worlds. As the sun set over Arcani's prime, the galaxy celebrated. The Empire's grip had been shattered. Humanity, once seen as another potential slave race, had risen to lead a rebellion that toppled a galactic dynasty. Standing on the balcony of the liberated palace, Trent and Raltek surveyed the scene below. People of all species, united in victory. "We did it," Raltek said quietly. Trent's gaze remained fixed on the horizon. "We've won a great victory, but the real work begins now. This galaxy has a chance at peace, but we have to fight for it every day." Raltek nodded, understanding the weight of what lay ahead. The Empire was gone, but rebuilding the galaxy would take more than weapons. It would take unity, compassion, and the same defiance that had carried them through the darkest days. As the stars twinkled in the sky above Arcani's prime, one thing was clear: the galaxy would never kneel again.